That missed kick, that might cost John Harbaugh his job, Ocho. I wasn't surprised that he missed it. That's a rookie kicker, Ocho.
I mean, rookie kicker in that situation, and you have one job, huh? You hear me?
Yeah, I know.
You have one job. I don't care about the situation.
If you thought Black Monday was loud, the league just turned the volume all the way up because the Baltimore Ravens didn't just make a change, they detonated one of the most stable head coaching situations in football.
Lamar Jackson giveth and Lamar Jackson taketh away. Wow. Lamar Jackson gave John Harbaugh life. Remember, John Harbaugh had missed the playoffs 4 out of 5 consecutive years before Lamar Jackson. The Ravens started abysmally. They finally start Lamar Jackson. I believe it was maybe week 11. Lamar Jackson goes 6-1 down the stretch. The Ravens make the playoffs. Lamar Jackson saves John Harbaugh's job. Lamar Jackson giveth. But Lamar Jackson taketh away because Lamar Jackson has consistently been injured, and in the biggest moments, including the playoffs, Lamar Jackson is underwhelmed. 9 touchdowns, 9 takeaways in playoff games. That's not John Harbaugh's fault. Lamar Jackson taketh away. Lamar Jackson gave John Harbaugh probably an additional 6 years of coaching life based on what Lamar Jackson has done the last several years. However, you have to suggest that Lamar Jackson's shortcomings in the playoffs are the reason that John Harbaugh's fired. Lamar Jackson's shortcomings in the biggest games are the reason John Harbaugh's fired. Lamar Jackson gave John Harbaugh life, but just how your mama told you, I brought you into this world, and I'm gonna do what, T?
I'm gonna take your ass up out of it.
And I'm gonna take
if you try me,
and I'm gonna take you out of it. Lamar Jackson kept John Harbaugh in the league, and I would suggest Lamar Jackson also played a major role in getting him up out of it as it stands today.
After 18 seasons, a Super Bowl ring, and a resume that basically reads like a Hall of Fame application, John Harbaugh is out in Baltimore. And the moment the news hit, the rest of the league reacted like somebody dropped a $100 bill in the middle of a crowded mall. Within 45 minutes, Harbaugh's agent reportedly had 7 teams calling to express interest. Not monitoring, not keeping tabs, calling immediately.
Both of y'all are familiar with college football from the past. Mark Richt won a lot of games at Georgia. Won a number of games, like was considered and regarded as one of the best college coaches. Never could get over the hump. Kirby Smart comes in, wins national championships, and you don't hear Mark Richt's name anymore at UGA, who I believe was one of the best college coaches for a large majority of my generation coming through school. So Baltimore, only reason you fire John Harbaugh is because you think somebody is going to get you that half a step further. Because this team should have at least been in a Super Bowl. And he didn't get fired for not being a good coach. He didn't get fired for not having his team prepared and things going the right way. He got fired because once you get to that position, you start getting judged on the margins. We're not judging you for your 13 wins anymore in the regular season. We're not judging you for your first place bid in the AFC to get into the playoffs or be the 1 seed.
And here's why that matters. There aren't even 7 open jobs right now unless somebody creates one, which means at least one team out there is staring at their current head coach like, yeah, about that, we might have to talk. Because when a coach like Harbaugh hits the market, the rules change. This isn't a coordinator who's never been in the big chair. This isn't a hot candidate with one great season of play calling. This is a guy who has done the job at a high level for nearly 2 decades in a division where you don't get to breathe. So let's break down what this really means, why the Ravens actually did it, where Harbaugh could land, and why the Raiders, yes, the Raiders, might be the biggest cautionary tale in the entire league right now.
Hey, I'm sorry, Harbaugh just got fired.
Harbaugh just got fired.
Harbaugh just got fired.
Oh, man.
That was
That's where Flo going to the Ravens.
Okay, what did I say?
Flo going to the Ravens.
He's been saying this since mid-season.
Man. I said
it was time to go, man.
I told you that and you argued with me.
Flo going to the Ravens. They must got a great, they got a great
But also
plan.
for other teams, they are going to snatch up Harbaugh in a second.
He probably go to New York or something.
You think?
They had to choose between Lamar and the head coach, and they chose the quarterback as they should have. You better. You better. I read a story yesterday where every guy on the team was raving about how great Lamar was as the leader of the football team, and it screamed to me, anti-Harbaugh, anti-Harbaugh, anti-Harbaugh. The leader of the team was Lamar Jackson, who can now take over the team, and I hope they go get the correct. He needs to have a big say in who the next guy is.
Baltimore is not known for panic moves. This is an organization that treats coaching changes like rare earthquakes, not yearly weather. Harbaugh wasn't just the coach. He was the culture. He was the identity. He was the adult in the room during roster transitions, quarterback transitions, and eras of defense, offense, and everything in between. So, if this franchise decided it was time, that tells you the season didn't just go bad. It went unacceptable. The Ravens entered the year with Super Bowl expectations and walked out of it with an 8-9 record and no playoffs. Their season ended in the most painful way possible. A last-second missed field goal in a rivalry game that decided the division. And on paper, you can point to injuries, or bad luck, or a brutal schedule. But the deeper issue is the one that keeps showing up in Baltimore. The same type of loss, the same type of frustration over and over. Late collapses, blown leads, head-scratching finishes. And when you're a team with a 2-time MVP quarterback, you don't get graded like everyone else. You're not allowed to just be competitive. You're supposed to contend. That's why Harbaugh's playoff history became a bigger part of the conversation lately. Early in his Ravens run, he was stacking AFC title game trips and cashing in a Super Bowl. But in the second half of his tenure, the postseason success didn't match the regular season reputation. That gap matters because Baltimore isn't paying Lamar Jackson to win October games. They're paying him to carry January. So Baltimore made a decision that basically says the partnership had peaked. Not that Harbaugh can't coach, but that this particular pairing in this particular building needed a reset. Let's keep it real. The coaching market is usually full of maybes, a few risk picks, a few trendy coordinators, a few he deserves another shot candidates. But Harbaugh is different because he brings 3 things most candidates cannot. Instant credibility, the locker room knows he's real. Instant structure, practices, staff, standards, culture. Instant pressure relief, because ownership can sell the hire as serious. If you're a franchise drowning in dysfunction, Harbaugh is the closest thing to a lifeguard you can hire. And if you're a franchise that's decent but stuck, he's the type of coach who can squeeze the extra wins out of the margins. That's why those calls flooded in so fast, because teams know this. If you wait, you lose. Here's the scary part for coaches across the league. There are currently 7 openings in the carousel conversation, but the report said 7 teams called immediately, and that didn't even include Baltimore itself. So either multiple open teams called quickly, expected, and at least 1 team without an opening called too. That's the bomb. Think about what that means. It means a franchise is at least considering, do we stick with our guy or do we pivot to Harbaugh while we can? Because Harbaugh is one of those rare override candidates, the type that makes owners question loyalty, timelines, and patience. If your coach is 7-10 and you're tired of excuses, Harbaugh is gasoline on that impatience. Now, one team being floated heavily is the New York Giants. And that makes perfect sense, because the Giants right now aren't just losing, they're lost. When a franchise doesn't have a clear identity, it starts chasing identity. And Harbaugh comes with identity pre-installed, hard-nosed, structured, no nonsense, special teams detail, defensive toughness, do your job or sit down. New York is one of those markets where the head coach has to be more than a play caller. He has to be a stabilizer, a shield, a standard. Harbaugh fits that. And for Harbaugh, New York offers something else, a stage. If he flips that franchise, he becomes a legend. Now flip it. What about the Ravens opening itself? Because here's the truth. The Ravens' job is not a rebuild job. You have a franchise quarterback entering his prime. You have a respected organization. You have infrastructure, scouting, and expectations. That is a win now and win later job. And that means Baltimore is about to attract every top candidate in the sport, not just NFL coordinators, but coaches who want the most stable situation possible. The new coach will walk into a building that expects immediate contention. That's pressure, but it's also opportunity. And while the Ravens are resetting from disappointment, the Raiders are living in a different type of chaos, the kind that doesn't come from injuries. It comes from dysfunction. The Raiders finished with a nightmare season, got embarrassed repeatedly, and eventually fired Pete Carroll after 1 year. 1 year. And when you dig into what happened, the story isn't just they weren't good. It's that the entire operation looked misaligned from the jump. You had a first-time GM with a long-term build-it-right vision, a veteran head coach talking like they're trying to win immediately, and Tom Brady, a minority owner, with influence that's big enough to shape the franchise but not structured enough to be accountable. That's the issue. When you have power without clear responsibility, the building turns into a rumor factory. And by the end of the season, the Raiders look like a franchise that didn't know what it wanted, trading for an older quarterback, spending on veterans, drafting like a team building the future, then firing coordinators mid-season like a team in panic mode. That's not a plan. That's a reaction. One of the biggest blows was the offensive collapse. The Raiders brought in a high-profile offensive mind, and it never clicked. Reports painted a picture of confusion, lack of buy-in, and an offense that looked like it was calling plays the players didn't fully own. The run game was near the bottom of the league. The quarterback was under siege. The offense didn't just struggle, it looked broken. And the mid-season firing of the offensive coordinator felt like proof that the staff itself wasn't aligned. When a team fires an OC mid-season, that's not adjusting. That's admitting the foundation is cracked. And then there's Max Crosby, the heartbeat of that team. A guy who's lived through coach after coach after coach and still plays like it matters. When you have a player like that, you don't just need talent around him, you need trust around him. And the moment a star leader starts feeling like the organization is drifting, that's when you risk losing the one person holding the locker room together. The Raiders' biggest danger isn't just losing games, it's losing belief. Here's what connects all of this: the Harbaugh firing, the coaching carousel madness, and the Raiders' collapse. The NFL is entering a phase where organizations are less patient than ever. Owners want immediate results. Fans want immediate results. And when a proven winner becomes available, it speeds up the timeline for everybody. Harbaugh hitting the market forces teams to ask, are we actually building something, or are we just wasting seasons? And for franchises like the Raiders, it's the warning label. You can buy credibility, you can borrow star power, you can market a new era. But if your football operation isn't aligned, vision, coaching, roster, leadership, you will collapse anyway. John Harbaugh is going to have options, real options. And the league is about to reveal who is truly serious. Because chasing Harbaugh isn't just hiring a coach, it's an admission. We believe we can win right now if we fix the top. So the question isn't whether Harbaugh gets another job. The question is, who's bold enough to do whatever it takes to get him, and who gets exposed when they don't. Because the carousel just turned into a stampede. And the next move, it's going to make somebody very rich and somebody very unemployed. Now drop a comment. If you're a team with a coach on the hot seat, do you fire him today to chase Harbaugh? Yes or no?